Hey there guys, BattleRifle here. This is basically a Blender tutorial today. I'm going to be showing you how to make a flag in Blender. An animated flag with wind effects. We can customize it, add our own flag and stuff. But yeah, so we're basically going to be um, making a flag today. I'm going to be showing you how to do it step by step and how you can customize it along the way to how you want it to be. Um, of course, there's so many things you can do. It's kind of like the flag itself is kind of like a cloth material. So there's so many other uses for it other than just a flag. So yeah. So basically, okay. So let's get started now. Basically, so okay. The first thing you're going to want to do is just delete your cube. I'm going to do this in cycles render as well because that's what I'm used to. And you can keep the lamp, you can keep the light, or you can delete that. But I'm going to delete that because I'm going to be using an environment texture later anyway. Um, so basically, what you're going to be wanting to do is, I'm going to pull this out for later. You're going to want to make a Bezier curve, and if you go to top down and go back into edit mode, you can see you've got your sort of curve here. Now, similar to like extruding, you can select one of these points and you can press E, and then you can sort of do this. Now, what you're going to want to do here is make your sort of top-down view of your flag, and it doesn't really matter. It can be quite rough because it's going to be waving in the wind anyway. But this is going to be your starting frame of your flag, and we're going to be basically extruding this. So basically, just sort of make a wavy sort of effect going on. Like I said, it doesn't really matter too much about how amazing it looks, but yeah, you get the point. Um, just something like that, for example. And then what you do is you go into edit mode, and then you press Alt. So once you've made it anyway, you press Alt C, and then you press Mesh from Curve, and basically the second option there. So you press that, and then when you pop back into edit mode, it becomes geometry. Now, with this geometry, you basically need to extrude it down on the Z-axis, and you need to kind of make your sort of shape of your flag. It doesn't need to be. You have to bear in mind that it's wavy, so that like eventually this will stretch out to about here. So you can make it a bit too sort of tall because you have to like compensate for the fact that you know it's going to stretch out later. So about here is fine for a flag, um, and then you're going to want to use the loop cut and slide here. You're going to click it here, and then you're going to add about say 15 cuts. That's I'd say the bare minimum, because if you have any less, then it usually doesn't really look like a flag. It doesn't look very good. And then what you want to do is go back into. Okay, we won't do that yet. What you're going to want to do is going to edge select, and then this is when you create basically the flagpole. Okay, so you have to go to into your physics tab, go to cloth, cloth collision. You have to click self collision, and yeah, so you had to add a sort of cloth effect physics to your mesh. Now what you want to do is go to the physics tab, and when you've got this edge selected, you go to you add a vertex group, and you're going to call this flagpole. You're going to assign it to that, okay? Because now, as far as Blender's concerned, the cloth has been added to everything, apart from this, which we've made vertex group. So yeah, and now what you can do is pop back out of edit mode. You can see it looks kind of bumpy. So you're going to want to make the shading smooth so it looks like that. And now you can basically add your flag texture. You go to material, new, then you go to image texture, and this is how you add an image. And then you open, and then you select your flag right here, and then when you have it all selected, then you press assign. Material. That's because I haven't done it properly. Okay, so if you go to here and then you press U, and then you unwrap it like that, and you can see it's there, but it hasn't done it properly. So what you're going to want to do is go to the UV image editor. You're going to go down here and you're going to select your flag, and then you can see here it's sort of here, but it hasn't been mapped properly. So all you're going to want to do is basically scale it on whatever axis and try and make it fit as much as possible. It doesn't matter if the box you're moving is slightly too small. It's better to have it slightly too small than to have it slightly too big for the actual image itself, because if it's slightly too big, then you're going to get some really weird things happening. I'm just scaling on the y-axis. To scale it on different axes, you basically press S for scaling, and then you can press. If you don't press anything, it will scale it just normally, and then if you press like G, Y, oh crap, actually no, don't press G. You can press like S, and then you can press X for the X-axis, Y for the Y-axis, even Z, but then like you can't because it's 2D. But yeah, so once you've done that and you pop back into the 3D view, you should see it's basically formed like the way that you wanted it to. Once you've done this, we can go ahead and basically make our flagpole. I'm going to do this on a separate object because it will just make things easier to work around, and it would be not so confusing. With the flag, because it's obviously one line, it's only vertexes. In solid or material mode, you can't see the flag from above, but if you go into wireframe mode, you will be able to see it. So working in wireframe mode is pretty good. To do that, you basically just press Z. So yeah, once you do that, make the flagpole. Make it a bit bigger. I'm going to put it about here. I'm going to put the flag actually a bit further up. So it's about there. And it doesn't matter if like you can go microscopic and make the flag like really close, but it really doesn't matter that much. Like just for the sake of this animation, I'm going to leave that gap. And I'm going to go to the transform manipulator and scale it up. You can press S and then press Z to do it on the Z axis, but you can also do it that way. Move that down. I'm actually going to move this up to about here, and that to about there. And with this pole, I'm going to actually make that a bit smaller. Okay, if I go up to the top again, pull this in a little bit. And then, okay, so once you've got this, your pole, basically you can go to the top. Oh my god, what happened there? Oh, okay, never mind. Alright, so I'm going to create a UV sphere for the top of. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do this, but I think I'm going to do that just because it'll make it look better. doing this in object mode so that I can basically I can simply just join these later. And then you're going to select the ball and the flagpole, and you're going to press Control J to join them onto the same object, and then you're going to press smooth shading, so you get a sort of really nice texture. And then for the material, you can basically add like a sort of glossy, like glossy is cool. Going to assign that, change the color, and make it sort of a bit darker. Assign that. Now I'm going to go to the flag, and now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to okay, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stay in edit mode and add a force field for wind, because this is going to act as, well, basically the wind. You can rotate this how you like. You can have whatever direction you like, but I'm going for an example. I'm going to put the wind going from roughly this angle. I'm going to have it going slightly up because because sometimes like the flag droops and it's really annoying. So if you go into the physics tab, you can set the strength. Because of the scale of the whole scene, I'm probably going to put the strength up to like about 250, but you can play around with this. Like it really doesn't make that much. It depends on your scale of your scene. Just play around with it a bit, and then you can see the rings of like the where it stretches to. I think that's okay. And then what you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to bake action. Now, if you do that, it will basically bake everything that is in the scene. If you do that, it will take a while, but you should end up with a flag that is being baked. And it should look really cool. You should notice it baking slowly. This always happens with my Blender, so don't worry about about it freezing. It always happens. It's probably even worse because I'm recording and it's lagging a bit. So yeah. But once you can control things again, you should see at the bottom it will like start to wave, and you can actually press Alt A, and it will show you. Okay, that's a problem. The reason that happened is, at least we know the wind is working. Okay, we know that the wind force field is working. We know that it's applied our cloth to the mesh. But the reason that that's happened is because this. Why is that not? Why is that ball like that in object mode? That's weird. Okay, whatever. So this right here, we need to add a vertex group to edge. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to this layer so we can hide it. Actually, I'm going to get rid of that. I have a feeling that something we did in between has messed around with the vertex group, so I'm going to assign this, and then it's going to be in the physics, we're going to have pinning. Okay, this is what I forgot to do, okay, sorry about this. In the physics tab for the cloth, you click pinning, basically, and then you select the group. You select this, And once it's assigned, this will be pinned, okay? So this, like, the whole thing will move apart from this. This will stay in the same place. This is why you don't need the flagpole to be on the same, like, you don't even need it to be on the same object as the flag itself. So now what we do is we go to bake again and we try again. And then once this happens, it should stay in the same place. So silly of me. But at least I got to show you how the baking actually works. Basically, the baking means that it has to kind of simulate what would happen in that situation and the wind and how the flag would fly off, and it basically simulates and reenacts the physics of the baking. So if we press Alt A now, hang on, nothing's happening. Nothing is happening. Okay. So there we go. You can see it starting to wave pretty rapidly, and you can see the flag is pretty wide. But like I said, it stretches out. Like from this frame to here, you can see it stretched quite a lot. This is why I said it's alright to make it a bit taller than the flag would normally be, because it does that. And this is why I had the wind so it was going up, because the flag tends to droop, and even with all the speed that I added to the flag itself, it's still kind of drooping. So see how cool that looks? It's really cool. And then basically, yeah, like that's pretty much it for the flag itself. There's not really much more to it than that. Of course, all that's left to do really is to just make it look nicer. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come out of there, and I'm going to move the camera. The wind force field is invisible, don't worry about that. Like wind actually is in real life. I'm going to put the camera to roughly, I'm going to put it to about here. I'm going to go to my world settings, use nodes. We're going to use an environment texture. No, sorry, we're going to use a sky texture. If we go into rendered mode, if you go into rendered mode, you can see it like that looks really nice. Yeah, that's basically like a preview, and then you can mess around with the position of the sun. You can make the sun like kind of set. Make it get really dark. It's actually frozen at the moment, so it's because it's using a lot of my PC isn't very great, so it's using a lot of, yeah. You can see here you can basically tilt this like this little sphere, and it will change the position of the sun. I'm going to move it up because I want it to be the daylight. So that's that. That's the scene set. I'll wait for it to buffer. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to come out of rendered mode now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a lamp. And I'm going to make a sun. Because from the point of view of my camera, it's kind of, I'm going to move it. The actual location of the sun doesn't really matter. It's because it's, it's a sun, so it's actually not, it doesn't matter too much about its actual position. I'm going to move it so it's roughly like that. And then once you go into, I don't know what I'm doing. Once you go into rendered mode, it looks really nice. So you can do that. The sun, you can change the properties on the sun. I'll actually pop out of rendered mode for this one. But you can change the properties of the sun here. The size, cast shadow. You can change a lot of stuff, basically. So yeah, so that's basically it, guys. There's not really much more to it than that. That's how to create your basic Blender flag. Of course, you can customize the environment. You can basically customize anything you like. This is the great thing about Blender. It's like, you can do things like this. I'm going to actually not do that. Um, it keeps freezing when I go into rendered mode, so I'm going to do it from material. Yeah, that's basically how to make a waving flag in Blender, guys. I hope this tutorial helped you. Feel free to check out more of my content on my channel. And yeah, thanks for watching.